Dance used to be a good way of courting, wasn't it? It forces the man to be in his masculine energy.
Dance, like partner dance, how got these chemicals being released, which are the same chemicals that are released when you're falling in love. It is purely just dance, which I understand, but different people have different boundaries. Yeah, it doesn't have to involve sex.
But do you think it is possible to be touching a very physically attractive person without feeling sexual about it? Yeah. And I find it's more scarce these days where the woman can relax in her feminine, because there's less family units.
Yeah,
you see a lot of more single parent homes. You see lots more separation and divorce and independence. It's moving away from family units, and then that's going to affect longevity in the long run, and it's going to affect the economy in the long run as well, because with people being more divided, it's easier to target a country, let's say.
Funny Universe Podcast. Funny and tragic stories and their spiritual life lessons.
I started going salsa dancing, and I noticed there's a common theme where the man leads and the woman then follows. And I find that's really, really nice, because in our society, family and the way family works when the man leads and the woman follows, and then it becomes the yin and the yang and the flow. It flows better. Because it forces the man to be in his masculine energy and the woman to be in her feminine energy. And the dance flows a bit better that way.
In life, yes.
In life,
and on the salsa dance floor as well, yes.
It's really funny.
Yeah.
Salsa dance form.
Yeah. It's a partner dance. I mean, I guess most of you know what salsa is. Yeah.
But there's a dance form called kizomba and bachata.
Two dance forms. Yeah.
Where you're quite close together with the dance partner, and you're so close that you could be cheek to cheek, and your bodies could be pressing against each other.
Well, let me correct you. Okay, so in kizomba, because I do more, I'm new to kizomba, but I've discovered this dance form that I really love. But it is, it's very intimate. So you're heart to heart, actually, and you're moving as one with your partner. So your partner's leading you, but you've got to follow. But also there's a receptivity between the two people, but you're kind of moving together as one. Bachata's a little bit different. Bachata's a bit different. I don't know very much about bachata. I'm only discovering it now, but it's a partner dance where you're kind of moving I can't say that word very well today. In sync, basically. Yeah. And the man is leading, but he's checking, is the woman in sync with him? So the man has got to be sensitive to the woman and listen to whether she's with him or not. So it's really about listening with your body. That's how I experience it.
I mean, you can do it as a beginner or as intermediate. It doesn't matter what level. But for me, I'm a beginner.
Well, I am with bachata as well.
Yeah, so you can. So we're both beginners. Yeah. However, I would never personally, I wouldn't consider doing that dance if I was with a partner, because I would find it weird. I don't like people in my actual, touching me. I don't feel like giving access to a man to touch me so intimately.
Right.
If I'm with a partner, or even without a partner, I feel like I'd only want to be doing that with my partner.
Right.
I wouldn't want to be doing that with a stranger. In the olden days, where people used to be dating and courting, dance was a really great way of breaking down the barriers and allowing intimacy to happen quite soon with two people. Dance used to be a good way of courting, wasn't it?
Yeah, and actually I think that's a really massive subject, because first of all, I think everybody needs to listen to their own body and respect what they're comfortable with. It's very valid how you feel about in your body and your boundaries with other people. Me, I'm different. I'm quite touchy-feely, and I can dance with a stranger, and I'm very comfortable with it. If it's heart to heart, I like it actually, because I like physical touch. I like physical, in that way. And for me, it's just dance. But there is a connection there as well, because you're connecting with your bodies. But it's a funny thing, because you're not making eye contact necessarily. It's your two bodies connecting together, and it is just a dance. But then you might start talking to the person. You've had a really nice dance with them, and then you might have more of a connection. But also, I read something quite interesting on Facebook quite recently about dance, like partner dance, how you have all these hormones being released, like oxytocin, like serotonin. You've got these chemicals being released, which are the same chemicals that are released when you're falling in love or you're in love with someone. and to know the difference. Like, this is just happening on the dance floor because it's a chemical process. So the connection, yeah, you can have attraction to people and there is a connection, but no, it's on the dance floor. And when you take it off the dance floor, then maybe you want to give it time or really check out if that connection is real, you know. But of course, it's a great way to meet people. It's a different way. It's a non-verbal way of communicating with people, you know, through your body rather than talking. It's interesting because I can be dancing with the same people regularly, but I've never had much of a conversation with them off the dance floor. And when I do start to talk with them, because I'm quite open, I like talking with people, you know, sometimes they'll say, well, actually, I'm really shy. And I'm like, okay, interesting. And for them, it's easier to dance in partner dance and to dance on their own, individually expressing themselves on their own, which I find very interesting as well. I think it's really important. You honour your body and you listen to yourself and you do what you're comfortable with, you know.
You wouldn't want to see your person be all intimate with another person. Let's say jealousy can happen quite easily in situations like this. But if, for example, the person's a professional dancer and that's their job to be teaching, then it's inevitable in their job.
Yeah, it is purely just dance, which I understand, but different people have different boundaries.
It might not necessarily be trusting your partner, it could be trusting the other person.
Sure, that's going to happen in everyday life anyway. Whatever is happening on the dance floor is happening in everyday life too.
It's almost like an instant permission to allow the male to touch you in ways you wouldn't normally be so intimate in other scenarios. I'm talking about bachata, kizomba particularly. I'm talking about ones where you're pressed up against people.
It's interesting for me. So I've done a lot of other dance forms, like I've done contact improvisation, where it's you're using your body, you're dancing with people through contact, like you're rolling over each other's bodies and you're using like the body as a playground. And I think a lot of people are not even aware of it because they're not using their bodies in that way. So when I'm dancing something like kizomba, for me, it's the same type of thing. It's like I'm sensing with my body. And a lot of different cultures, they do. Like a lot of cultures, they carry the baby on the back. They're not put in pushchairs. And I think in the West, you know, we're very disconnected from our bodies. This culture, we don't touch. Touch is not part of culture, but your body needs to be touched. To be healthy, your nervous system needs to be regulated through touch. So it's a very natural thing. And I think perhaps what you're talking about is like, I'm getting the sense of maybe sexualizing the touch, or it's people only get that touch when they're having like sexual intimacy with someone, rather than it just being touch for touch, you know, for touch like as a way of caring or as a way of connecting. Or it doesn't have to involve sex, but perhaps here people, that's the way they get touched more.
But do you think it is possible to be touching a very physically attractive person without feeling sexual about it?
It's possible, but if there's chemistry there, then there's chemistry, and then you can just enjoy it and play with it, but it doesn't go anywhere, does it? You know, it's just like, it is what it is, you know what I mean? Because we're human at the end of the day. Maybe if you're single, it might go somewhere and they're single, but if it's not, then it's not. It is just what it is.
Okay. So there's a two-way like each other.
Yeah.
However, each person has partners. Let's say each person has partners.
Yeah.
Then do you think it's okay to be putting yourself in that situation where you know that you're physically attracted to that person? That person's also physically attracted to you. Should you be putting yourself in that risk category? But
then that depends on your own personal boundaries, I think, and whether you trust yourself. And I believe if you're getting all your needs met with your partner and you're happy in your relationship, then you can probably have a dance and nothing's going to happen.
I absolutely love the definite role of the male and female. Yeah. Because a woman can then relax in the feminine. Yeah. And I find it's more scarce these days where the woman can relax in her feminine. Because there's less family units. Yeah. You see a lot of more single parent homes. You see lots more separation and divorce. Yeah. And the culture is now dividing families. It's not as cooperative to keep them together. Yeah, it's difficult. And so because there's just so much vacuous intimacy now, out very freely in terms of skin is shown quite freely more. Right. And intimacy is a lot more exchangeable quite easily on dating apps. Right. And you see a lot of the old values and the religious values have gone to the side, which means everything is so accessible, and so the value of the feminine has decreased a lot. And not only that, the feminine energy is almost not dissipated, but women have become more masculine.
after feminism in this society. And I think everyone suffered from it. I think men have suffered and women have suffered because, like you say, women have had to become very strong and almost masculinized, and the men out here have become demasculinized. I went into Sufism, and I had to kind of really relearn like the divine roles of the masculine and the feminine, like the masculine in a divine sense being the protector, the provider, the leader, and the feminine kind of being receptive to that, and her being more the caretaker in a way, and supporting, you know, the man, and him just cherishing the woman and loving her, and her respecting him for all that he's providing, and that there's respect between the two, between the masculine and the feminine. It's not that one is better than the other. They're just different, and they need to be able to dance together and have real respect between the two, and when they're in harmony, it's really beautiful.
It's stimulating more independence. However, with independence, it's moving away from family units, and then that's going to affect longevity in the long run, and it's going to affect the economy in the long run as well, because with people being more divided, it's easier to target a country, let's say, because there's no unity, there's no community.
Yeah, and family's unit is like the fabric of society. Family's so important, you know. My own belief system that children ideally need to be raised by two parents and feel loved and cared for, and then they grow into healthy adults, you know. But if the family unit's all disrupted, then it means that children are quite vulnerable, and then creates problems later on, you know. And it's important for society that people are happy and they're healthy, you know, and to have good relationships is really, really important, and that those relationships, we learn those through our early experiences of family. You know?
Looking at men, and men ideally want to be respected. That's fundamentally what men want, is respect. And it's difficult for women to respect a man if he's not leading, if he's not providing or protecting. Yeah. Because if a woman can do that all herself, what is the point of a man? I mean, there's lots of points of men. There was a study, a scientific study, and also just a general social media study of going around different women and asking women, if you lived in a utopia of just women always like, that sounds amazing. We'd totally live in a utopia of women, because, you know, just it's women, as long as you've got the emotional support, which you can get from a friendship, you don't feel lonely, and then you're not stressed out because you're not babying another individual. Women are very individualistic, and we are cooperative, and we do it in a very soft, nurturing way. And then if you ask the same for a man, if you ask the man, okay, would you be living in a place where there's no women? The men will be like, no way. And what will end up happening is almost like an army mentality where there's hierarchies, and men need hierarchies, and so they innately in their DNA want to lead. If they don't lead, however, then that's their feminine energy coming in, that's their effeminate ways of being, and a lot of that is usually from childhood. It's what they have seen as an example. So men who are very much in their masculine energy, that's usually taught, so it's either innate in them or taught from a masculine figure. However, because of the rise of femininity, the rise of single mums and single parent homes, those people then see a lot of angry females trying to survive in their survival mode. And so men then have the majority of their time idolizing, or people who they respect and look up to are angry female, very independent, strong women. Where femininity in a man is okay, because they don't have that contrast of a man saying how it should be.
Linking it back to dance, it's really interesting for me to dance with men and dance around that dance of the masculine and the feminine, and what comes up for me, you know, and to, I guess, talk about it and explore it as well, because it's a really good way of experiencing the masculine and feminine in a healthy way, ideally, you know, like you say about being feminine being led by the masculine, and the feminine being receptive. But for me, there's got to be respect as well, because sometimes I feel a bit frustrated when I'm being led by men like who don't lead me very well, you know, or I'm like, I want to express myself a bit more, give me a bit more freedom, instead of, oh, it's all rigid. So it's really interesting. It's really interesting.
Yeah, and it's interesting how it plays out in dance. And the reason why dance is the way the man has to lead and the feminine has to follow, it forces the man to be in his masculine and the woman to rest in her feminine, so that the flow, the codependence happens, and then you can dance more easily in that flow.
I don't think it's codependence. It should be interdependence.
Okay, interdependence.
Interdependence.
Do you think it can work if the woman's leading and the man's not?
In dance or in life?
In dance.
Well, sometimes, yeah, because there's been times, for example, like, I remember I was at this festival quite recently and I was with a dancer. He danced kizomba for a long time, but he couldn't sense the rhythm of the music. And I was like, the rhythm's this, because it was quite subtle. And he was like, oh, thank you. And then we danced on again. So I think there's room for flexibility as well, you know? Yeah.
But would you, let's say a man was trying to impress you and you're watching him on the dance floor and he was being led by a woman, would you have respect for this man and be impressed by this man who's actually being in the feminine role and the woman's being in her masculine? Would you, if he was trying to woo you and he wasn't doing a good job of being in his masculine, would that impress you?
That's it, because what I have seen on the dance floor, which is really interesting, is when the roles are changed, but they're changed purposefully. It's not because the man can't lead, it's because he wants to get the woman to lead, and then he's just following, so just the roles are reversed. And that's cool, because I think for a man to be able to do that, he has to be quite strong in his masculine to allow himself to be led by a woman and to give her that role. But if a man can't lead on the dance floor, what was the question? Would I feel attracted to it, or would I respect him?
Yeah.
I try and respect all people no matter what, but I find it, when that happens, it's really challenging, because it's like, well, you're not doing the job very well, but I want to step in, but I don't want to tread on your toes, literally. I don't want to do that. And it becomes really awkward.
It's not relaxing or playful when you're having
But it can be playful. I mean, I think, you know what, the other thing that I've discovered about this dance form is that it is social dance. So to be open to dancing with people wherever they are in life, and that it's a connection, and to just be like graceful and gracious and try and bring joy into every dance, you know, that's how I see it. And yeah, some dances are not as enjoyable as others, but just be like, well, actually, maybe this person, maybe that's his only outlet or his only joy for the week, and to go, okay, yeah, let's dance together. It's about human connection, you know. And I'm not like, yeah, just as simple as that, not going too much into, does this person, do I respect this person or not, but just to try and see the humanity in the experience and in the person as well.
I guess it's with everything in life. A woman is more impressed with a man who could do more than what she can do, adding more to her pot. If she can do it all herself, then that codependence isn't required, and so she'd much prefer to just dance on her own, as opposed to in a unit of dancing with another person. It's almost like, I feel like if I'm dancing, I would like to be dancing with a way more competent person than me, because I'm not a competent person in dancing. In ones where they show the rules, it's more enjoyable to be dancing with somebody who actually knows what they're doing. Because then if I don't know what I'm doing and I'm being led by the blind, following the blind doesn't work. I need to be dancing with someone who knows what they're doing. I mean, if it's just fun, then that's okay.
Yeah, no, it's really nice.
If I want to learn.
If you want to learn. I think in those particular dance styles, it's really beautiful to be led by a man who's a good dancer, because you're just following as a woman. Yeah. And I always think, and I say to the men sometimes, I'm like, gosh, it's hard to be a man, isn't it? You've got a lot more responsibility on your shoulders. I'm just following, you know, I don't really have to think about anything. And they're like, yeah, it is, yeah.
Visit Glastonbury, the heart chakra of the world, where you can be your authentic self at healthfreedom.uk.